Welcome back to Pregnant in the Netherlands. We are really excited today to have Brooklyn Brownstone, who is the founder of the Labour Department in Amsterdam. The Labour Department is a community for parents and parents-to-be. It's a collection of parenting preparation courses and also community events, and it's really fantastic. We're really excited to have Brooklyn on the podcast. So let's jump in.
Hi,
Welcome,
everyone.
Brooklyn.
Thank you so much, Anna and Juliana, for having me on. My name's Brooklyn. I'm a Canadian living in Amsterdam, and I'm also the founder of the Labour Department, which is a community and education startup really dedicated to supporting parents on their journey from pregnancy to early parenthood and trying to really change what it means to move from pregnancy to parenthood. We really look for where there's a gap in education, and we try to support that gap by providing education and also community along the way.
That's amazing and sounds so
Thanks.
fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, we are almost at 300 couples with our Prep to Parent program, which is super
Wow.
exciting. And just last week when we were kicking off one of our groups, in the first class, which was preparing for postpartum, I heard the instructor say, like, so what does postpartum mean to all of you? And one of the future dads said, well, like for me, I really want to understand what the signs of postpartum depression look like so I can watch out for my partner. And I just thought, like, wow, imagine if every partner knew the answer to that question, how different our world would look. And yeah, that's really like what we're trying to achieve with our Prep to Parent program. And it's been pretty amazing. I'm actually going on Saturday to the first ever Prep to Parent group. One of the daughters is turning 2, and I'm going to the birthday party, and all the Prep to Parent parents are going to be there. So
Oh, how
That's
it's
cool.
pretty
amazing.
amazing. Yeah,
So it's
it's really
also a
cool.
really strong community that you're
Yeah,
bringing
yeah,
together,
yeah,
building.
totally.
And
Yeah,
can you bring us through the process? How does it look like? How do people
sure.
get in contact with you?
Yeah, so you can visit us on our website, which is www.thelabordept, DEPT, and labor spelled the Canadian way, LABOUR.com. And from there, you pick a group. Usually, we recommend that you don't go too into your third trimester. So if you're due, say, where are we right now? Say you're due in August, you would want to do a group that is in June or May or June. Or July at the latest. You can pick from either Wednesday night, Saturday mornings, or our new one, which is the weekend intensive. And during the program, you'll go through 5 different courses taught by at least 3 different instructors who all have clinical experience in what they're talking about. So the topics are birth, and our birth class is super high level. Like it's really just the physiology of birth as well as the process here in the Netherlands, what pain medication is available, what options for location are available. I'm sure all the things you guys have covered in this podcast, as well as the physiology of birth. We don't go into like hypnobirthing or anything like that, but we do talk about it as an option for participants. So birth is the first topic, then preparing for postpartum. So like, what does that even look like? What is postpartum? Because we all have seen like these glowy, sun-filled rooms, but like, the other day I was at IKEA and I was like looking at all the trolleys and I was like, you see a bar cart, I see like a snack station. Like how can we really empower each other to be as prepared for that period as we can, and also like what the realities are, like how heavy blood flow can be, your sort of changing mood, all those pieces. We have a breastfeeding class, which is taught by a lactation consultant and really goes into, again, the physiology and just setting you up for success as much as possible. So that's birth, postpartum, breastfeeding, baby medical basics, which is, again, like very high level, how to take your baby's temperature, what kind of rashes are okay, what different poop means, like all the things that you need to medically care for your baby, who to call for support and how to know when to call. Because, a lot of new parents won't even know, like, what's the consultatiebureau? What's the
Yeah.
huisarts and post? how do I take a baby's temperature? And so that got me to 4. And the 5th is the mental health class, which really talks about um, taking care of your own mental health and all the potential changes, and kind of going back to that first question, like how can we identify when we need support? What are some flags to look out for? And the idea is that you do the whole program with your birth partner. So it's not just about the birthing person, it's really about becoming a family together. And yeah, I really love it. I'm super proud of what we've done. We got amazing feedback. It's really cool. And also, the majority of our teachers, they all have clinical experience, but a lot of them are also expat parents. So you really get that firsthand experience. So not only are you getting all this knowledge, other pregnant people do at the same time as you, other families do at the same time as you, but you're also getting access to a big network of professionals that you can reach out to for support later on. And when you do prep to parent, you become a member of the Labour Department, which I don't know if you guys know this, but we meet every week here in Amsterdam for our Mama Hang. We have other ad hoc events. Like today, we have an entrepreneur meetup. So we really are like a big community.
That's
Fantastic.
yeah, so awesome.
Thanks,
Is it
guys.
do you have like one location that you
No, so we work with a variety of venue partners throughout Amsterdam. So Equals being one of them, which I'm at right now. We host the weekend intensive here. Equals is a clubhouse for female founders. We work out of Neo House. We will be doing our Mama Hangs at the Wow Family Center. And we're also starting to roll out a bunch of on-demand content if you can't make it here. So for example, we have a pause and pacifiers class, which is all about introducing your pet to your baby.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome and also really needed because it can be actually like pretty big transition for dogs and
Yeah.
cats. So that's now available anytime you want it online. Yeah.
Do I get it correct that you hold it all together, you organize it all, but you are actually not holding any classes or sessions yourself?
No, you wouldn't really want me as a teacher. I like wouldn't Yeah, it would just not be helpful. So I like try to attend 1 or 2 prep to parent sessions just to like help anybody with any community questions or, even share my own experience. But we have an amazing team of instructors who teach prep to parent and also community hosts who host all of our meetups.
Mm.
Um, so really there's like kind of 2 communities involved in the Labor Department. One is like pregnant and new parents, and the other side is like incredible birth workers, pregnancy workers, postpartum support people, educators. Yeah, you name it. We have a lot of nurses that we work with, a lot of therapists, incredible doulas. Yeah, it's really just a network of really awesome people, nutritionists. I'm trying to think, photographers, like
Oh,
sleep
nice.
coaches.
Mm.
Yeah, basically like anything you need, we got.
Yeah. And how did you like what led you to putting this all together?
Oh man. So I had a really difficult pregnancy, and in that, I just really didn't see myself in the pregnancy narrative that was out there. Like I just felt sort of like, oh man, this is not what I was told was going to happen or any of this was going to look like. And I really felt like I needed a space and a brand that actually reflected my experience more. So I did like a pop up with mini workshops and some resale products that I felt were actually really useful and to me and my experience. And then the pop up led to a physical space. And I sort of used that space to do like a lot of research. Like I really asked every parent who came through the door, what is it that you feel you needed? Like what would have changed your outcome? What could have improved it? And I turned that into prep to parent, which is still evolving all the time. I spent all of last summer really developing the curriculum and expanding on it and making sure that it covered as much as possible, which is really hard to do. Like I think the one sort of negative feedback we get is that it was too much information. So, we're constantly trying to tweak that. But I guess like it was really just listening to parents.
Mm.
I think like, and I hope we won't butt heads here. In pregnancy, there's so much pressure to prepare for birth. And
Yep.
like, you got to do like all the hypnobirthing and all the, pregnancy yoga. And it's really just like your eye on that prize, which is a prize. And it's a big transformation. And it's huge. And so much happens in birth. And there's so many ways that you can prepare for it. And I think that's all really important, but it's almost as though everything after is just like an afterthought.
Yep.
Um, and I think like in that thinking, we really miss an opportunity. And I think it was just like really all the parents crying about their struggles with breastfeeding, um, you know, having issues with their mental health, feeling like completely drained from this like cut together postpartum experience that wasn't really satisfying and didn't really like was a lot of work for them, so that in a way they were recovering from pregnancy, birth, and postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think just listening to parents, and also listening to people that I had the fortune of working with. Like, you guys are fountains of education and knowledge, and I think like there's a lot of like things that birth workers and pregnancy experts and postpartum workers are like, yeah, of course. But for the person in the hot seat, they're like, wait, what? No, I didn't know that. I just thought you're supposed to use this water bottle to like for your peri. Like I thought that it's okay to hold my baby like that. Like, what do you mean it's going to damage my hip and my alignment? So just really trying to like tune into those moments from the perspective of like a clueless parent. Yeah, I think like people often assume that I'm a teacher in the program, but I think not being a teacher has been a really good superpower for me because it's allowed me to sort of stand in the position of somebody who doesn't know anything and ask those questions and not make assumptions. And we're still
Yeah.
evolving all the time.
And not
Yeah.
taking over the professional jargon that
No.
experts use, and
Yeah.
for
No.
someone who just got pregnant or just
Yeah, but
going through it, it's not
and
obvious.
also not like judging the lack of knowledge. Like we have so
Yeah.
many people coming in week 30, week 32, not knowing like, yeah, what a TENS machine is, or not even knowing what does a Cramsor do, or how do I take my baby's temperature, or like, I remember was it this past weekend intensive where we sort of at the end went around and said like, okay, what happened for you here? Like, what does this all mean? And one of the parents actually said like, I didn't realize that it would be about me, like the mom. I thought this was all going to be about the baby.
Oh.
Like, I didn't realize that I would need support. Like, but that's real. Like a lot of people,
Yeah. Oh,
we're so
absolutely.
in this bubble that we think like, of course, every mom knows that they need like fresh pajamas and new sheets and to book a postpartum like, no, like let's go back to that basic.
Yeah.
So that's been really rewarding.
Yeah.
Hugely
We
rewarding.
also do have something similar, but much smaller yet. The Expecting Together.
Yeah.
It's a meetup. Now we have it bi-weekly, actually.
Cool.
We had it monthly, and now, yeah, like we are also really experimenting it. We had
Awesome.
one postpartum workshop, and that was also the things like, yeah, you really have to take care of yourself. And we talked about what do you need in the postpartum period? Because mom is the first, and then if
Yeah.
you can take care of your baby.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how little people know.
Yeah.
And it's pretty
Yeah.
incredible being that like window into that for people. I think that's been like super rewarding for me. Um, yeah. I think also like just taking a little bit of the pressure off of the birth,
Yeah.
and giving like sort of space to shift focus a little bit is important.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We need more attention on the postpartum and early parenthood time, because as a society, it's something that we don't really focus on in like Western societies. It's you're just assumed to know what you're doing and to navigate the huge shifts in hormones and
Yeah.
identity, and just, you're expected just to know what to do. And
Yeah, I was talking to like a postpartum baby nurse yesterday, and she was saying like there's no other job that gives you this little amount of training.
yeah, exactly.
Like you would never be expected to walk into work day one and like do a project.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's really interesting. I think like it's also really interesting that as a society we haven't demanded it. Like I wonder why
Yeah.
that's happened with birth, but it hasn't happened with the other pieces.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it seems like there's like a little bit of a conversation that needs to be had there. Like, why isn't it that we like this hasn't happened already? What's the gap, and why is it viewed like it's? I think that we're almost at a place where birth prep is a mandatory, not just a nice to have. But I think that
Hmm.
there's still this view of postpartum breastfeeding, medical care, mental health as like an extra, and it's
Yeah.
I think like quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
my latest client just told me that she was so focused on birth preparation, and she had an amazing shift from wanting to give birth in the hospital, and eventually she didn't want anything else than just giving birth at home. And it was a
yeah.
really big transformation for her. But she was like, yeah, it was so much. I wanted to research everything that I just didn't have the energy and the time for postpartum in the end. And then there was the baby, and then, okay, what now?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like,
Yeah.
I do think that if you have a positive birth, it does make like settling into the next part a
Yeah,
little bit more gentle,
yeah.
but it's
That's what my
definitely
mother
not
said.
like, oh, positive birth, positive postpartum. Like those are not, I don't think that's, I don't know, actually, I'd be interested in the
Yeah.
data on that, but I think, yeah, if you do really lean into your birth, that's often the case, that there's very little energy or time left. And I think
Mhm.
maybe that's where the partner needs to step up a little bit. But I think also as like birth workers, there needs to be more of a narrative around that too.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, for
And
sure.
that's why, like with prep to parent, it's not, you can do the birth class or you can do all these other things. It's actually the opposite. You can do prep to parent without doing the birth class.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Okay.
yeah, so even if you choose to educate yourself around birth in a different way, like whether you're working one to one with a doula or you're doing like a hypnobirthing program or, more of a like sort of a physical, interactive, I guess like yoga like program. You can still do prep to parent. You do baby medical basics, postpartum, mental health, and breastfeeding.
Mhm.
We just started the
Nice.
birth class actually not so long ago. Um,
Okay.
yeah, the birth class was really last for me because I felt like it was so oversaturated. There were
Yeah.
so many ways that people could learn about birth, but then what was happening is people were coming to prep to parent and they were like, "But I also want to do birth with you." And I was like, but there's so many other places you can do it." And the
Yeah.
feedback we got there was, "Yeah, but they're not really like, data driven just down to the physiology and the facts. There's a lot more sort of philosophy around them, and people just
Yeah.
want the basics from us." So that's what we're doing.
And
Oh,
also,
nice.
when you hear it from one source, like if someone is attending a centering pregnancy group, that's really good, really useful. But that doesn't
Yeah,
mean that you know everything. Like you hear it once
totally.
and then you should really put it into practice. It's like really good if you hear it again and make
Yeah.
it yours.
Well, that's, basically my main advice for everybody at Prep to Parent is to come to the Mama Hangs and ask all the new parents about their experiences. Like
Mhm.
I think like watch the experiences, see the experiences, ask if you can go over and fold laundry for someone, like really try to get in there as much as possible. Um, yeah, I think like if I had a wand, I would create like a virtual reality experience where future parents could really step into that
Oh,
as
nice.
much as possible. And that's actually something that I've been like trying to figure out with AI, but I think that's more like a later 2026 piece.
Oh, that's
Anyways,
awesome.
yeah, yeah,
That's yeah. I love that you're providing the education for them and then also the community because that's something in our Western societies that we are just nuclear families, especially expats who I think that that's most of your
Yeah.
clientele. Um,
Yeah.
and we don't have extended family here to support us. So creating that community is so important.
You're completely right. It's completely like essential. I don't think you need like 100 people. You just need like two or three friends, and that can really
Yeah.
be enough. Like just, if friend A isn't available, you've got friend B, and it's about, having somebody who sees you and validates you and can listen to you and can be like a shoulder for you. But it's also about like, the more basic stuff like, hey, can I borrow like a breastfeeding pillow? You know, ours is on the
Yeah.
way from Bowl. Hey, can we come over for dinner? I really have no energy to cook. Like it's
Yeah.
not, and those kinds of moments, I remember like I'd had a really rough night and my upstairs neighbor was like, "Do you want to come eat enchiladas for breakfast?" And I was like, "How did you know?"
Mhm.
Yes. And I literally ate a pan of enchiladas with my baby in the carrier on me. And I
Oh,
can
that's
still taste
fantastic.
those enchiladas. I'd
Totally
love to
get
hear
it.
from you
Yeah.
guys, like when you're working with new clients, like what are their big fears? Like what are they talking to you about mostly?
Well, I do think that as most of the world is more medicalized than the Netherlands, and normally you are cared by the gynecologist and you go to the hospital, it's really new for them to go to the midwife.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And also like they are culturally, I think like this is where I'm safe. And often that's what I hear from the fathers, like when I ask a couple, and where are you going to give birth? And then the father says, in the hospital, that's safe.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, that really get to know the Dutch system. That it's also safe. The midwife has everything that you need if you have a low risk pregnancy, and there's no risks during when the labor starts. So that's, I think, the first thing. Then really the mindset shift, that they they should believe in themselves and their body, trust the process, because they tend to forget how
Yeah.
intuition works and really listen to their body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they carry these like cultural norms all the
Yeah.
way to this other country, right? Like, I have had a few people actually go back home to give birth because they were so uncomfortable with the system here. But
Yeah.
I think it's in like really important to also like to not only be, you know, okay, if you want to give birth in a hospital, that's totally cool. But it's hard to choose from a menu where you don't know what the full menu is.
Yes.
Like
Hmm.
if your menu culturally was you go to the hospital and have a baby, then that's the menu you want to choose from still. So like
Yeah.
how can we make people comfortable with reading the rest of the menu? I think is like a really good challenge for people
Yeah.
like you. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like trying to balance between, yeah, this is your choice, so I'm going to support you in the choice what you make, because that's my
Yeah.
job to support you, whatever. But is this really your choice, or you make the decision out of fear? So then,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
if I give enough information, then you might go through a transformation and
Yeah. Yeah.
change your mind, or you might still think that that's the best for me.
Have you
Yeah.
guys just done birth just in the Netherlands or have you worked in birth in other countries?
I was a nurse, well, I still am a nurse, in the US, and yeah, gave birth to one kid there. And
Okay.
then I lived in Vietnam and gave birth there during COVID. And
Wow.
so experienced their healthcare system. And then so that's kind of when I started my birth classes, childbirth teaching and lactation support in Vietnam, and then we moved here. And after
Amazing.
after being in experiencing the U.S. and Vietnam, birth in the Netherlands just seems so ideal because of
Yeah.
the midwifery model of care. The Kramzorg is here, so there are systems to support choices and to support normal physiological birth, which are great, but there is still definitely a lack of like after that
You're
Krimsorg
done.
leaves. Yeah,
Yeah, you're done. Yeah.
sometimes you get
Like,
another follow up with your midwife, but not everyone does. And yeah, it just that's what kind of surprised me
yeah.
coming here.
Yeah. Did you have that in Vietnam?
No,
Like more support postpartum? No.
no,
Yeah.
no. I
I
had
mean,
no support.
oh, that must have been really hard.
Yeah, it was tough. But yeah, my partner and I were able to make things work. We were able to
Nice.
hire a nanny though, which was helpful.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think like I don't know what the dream setup is, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Right.
that it's really unique to everyone. I think that there's like, I don't know what the outcomes, it would be interesting again to look at the data of like the confinement hotel, like how those change your
Yeah.
postpartum experience. Does that, you know, what is life like for moms who go through that 3 years later? Are they, more well adjusted? I don't know. Like
Yeah.
it's just not an area that's received enough support or research. But I think my ideal is that parents know the full menu. They know all the options that are available to them. And
Yeah.
that they can really choose what they want and create their own experience. That's why like in Prep to Parent, we have like a birth plan template, but we also have a postpartum plan template because
Mhm.
both should be planned for. And both are really, yours for the creating to an extent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I
Thanks,
only
guys.
experienced birth and birth work in the Netherlands because it
Okay,
was,
cool.
I was in recruiting. And when we came here 10 years ago, I was working as an HR, a first recruiter and HR consultant. And then I got pregnant and it changed my life.
Yeah.
So I
Wild, right?
gave birth here 2 times. And I was just thinking today that actually one moment really gave me the push to become the doula myself. I was already reading about it, thinking about it, but like I found myself on my back, just pushing in the traditional position,
Yeah.
knees up and push as hard as you can. And then in that moment, my husband just said, like, "You said that she can sit up, right? And is it possible?" And that sentence, that question, he was just my doula next to me.
Yeah, I was literally gonna say that.
And
Sounds like he was your
physically
doula.
being a doula, those tiny things, and I was like, oh, I was allowed to sit up and
Yes,
change the
yes,
whole experience.
yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really cool. And that's an incredible example of like a partner really empowering the moment, which is always super inspiring to hear. I don't think, I don't hear those as often as I would like. So it's nice when I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, this has been a fantastic conversation, and I love what you're doing. I love,
Thank you.
yeah, it's really awesome.
I think
Thanks,
we
guys.
one and listening to you.
Right? Yeah.
Thanks, guys. It's just great to hear that there's other people working on the same mission, and I think the more the merrier. And I just really appreciate the time to talk about it. As you can see, it's like really, it's my passion. So, yeah, I think we're kindred spirits in that, and the more the merrier. I would love to see you guys come to Amsterdam, come to a Mama Hang, come to Business and Babies, drop in on one of the Prep to Parent intensive weekend lunches. Come and hang with us anytime you want. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Brooklyn as much as we did. You can find more information about the Labour Department at www.thelabourdept.com, or you could follow them on Instagram at the Labour Dept. Make sure you also follow Julianna and I on Instagram. You can find Julianna at Julianna_Ferrone. And you can find me at empowered.birth.services. You can also join our monthly Expecting Together pregnancy and postpartum meetup. We are now meeting the second Monday of the month in the Eindhoven Library at 10 o'clock. More information at pregnantineindhoven.com. If you enjoy listening to Pregnant in the Netherlands, please like, subscribe, or follow us. And if you're feeling really helpful, then we would love it if you left us a review. This helps other families discover our podcast. We hope that you're enjoying the summer so far, and we can't wait to see you at one of our future events or connect with us on Instagram. Take care, and until next time.